welcome to the chaos, and welcome to the first pattern roundup of 2026. This year, I'm going to do things very similar to the way I did in the beginning of last year. I have my handy notebook where I keep all my information. So each pattern that I review for these roundups is a pattern that I actually make. And I have notes written on them and how they turned out. And I have, starting this year, a ranking system, not ranking, that's not what I want to say, like a grading system, a star system, if you will. So I'm going to be ranking them on their clarity, the pattern clarity, how quick it was to make, because for me, I'll explain it, how quick it was to make, the ease of the make, whether or not it brings me joy, whether I'll make it again, whether I really, really liked it, and then an overall score averaging all of those. So that's going to be our system. And let's just jump right in to the pattern roundup. So this first pattern roundup of 2026 is going to be a pattern roundup of free Instagram keychain patterns. All of these either were noted as keychains or were something definitely small enough to be a keychain. I think pretty much all of them were meant to be keychains when I looked at them. A couple of them are just meant to be tying things, though. So I have 1, 2, I think I have 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 free Instagram keychains for you to show you today. I will have links to all of the patterns in the description box so that you can find them for yourself if you want to try them. And I will go over each and every one of them in the order that I did them. So the first one, my bag over here with the keychains in it. The first one is the upside down monster charm by Woolly Tunes. And this one is a low-sew pattern, it states. So the upside down monster charm. This is what he looks like. Here's size comparison next to my hand. You can kind of see. And I put one of my little black cords with the star clasp keychain on him. All right, so I used, and the other thing is with all of these patterns, same as the way I did them in the beginning of last year, I used the same kind of yarn for all of the patterns so that you could get a better idea across the board. And for all of these patterns, I used either like Big Twist Posh or Baby Bear, or Parfait Chunky for like some detail work, Naughty Ball, all of those like size 5-weight yarns. This is what I use for keychains. And I use a Furls 4.5 millimeter hook for all these, my new hook. Let me show you guys. Isn't she pretty? So 4.5 millimeter hook for all of these keychains. Everything was the same. So for this one, let me see my notes and then I'll go over my score. These little petals, when you're working with keychain size yarn, are tiny. They are worked in rows, but you start with like an increase into a chain. So it's like 2 stitches to start with. And then you do wind up crocheting together the red petal and the brown petal when you make it. And then you crochet all 3 of these together with this center part when you make that. It can be a little difficult when you're crocheting through 3 layers of this in such a small space. So it is a little bit physically demanding to make this one. It was a pretty quick pattern overall. I said I would explain the speed thing. So for this particular roundup, speed is on this list. It may not be on other lists. But for keychains, I need to be able to make them in under half an hour for them to work at my $15 price point. Otherwise, I'm kind of losing money on them. So if it got under that half an hour mark, then it scored well on this chart. So this one was fairly quick despite all the pieces, because there's a lot of pieces. The only sewing, I did say it was low sew, the only sewing is this back circle gets sewn onto the flower. So you have the black circle that you crochet each of the petals, crochet the petals together so that you have 5 double-sided petals, and then you crochet the black circle and then add the petals on the last round of the black circle so that you have all the front piece together, and then you make this back piece separately and you sew it on to the back so that it can cover up the black entirely. And then, of course, you embroider the little white teeth. So that's the sewing. So those are some things to consider. My only like negative point on the pattern itself is that there weren't very specific instructions for how to attach these petals onto this center point, like how exactly to hold them and attach them on. I was able to figure it out, but I feel like a less experienced crocheter might have difficulty with that part. All right, so for the final score, pattern clarity got a 4 out of 5 stars. Took a star off for not knowing exactly how to attach the petals. Quick make got a 4 out of 5 stars. It hit right at like the 30-minute mark, even with all of the pieces. Easy to make got a 3 out of 5 stars. It's not easy, especially with all these small pieces being put together. Not easy. Brings me joy, 3 out of 5 stars. I did not have fun doing the tiny little parts of the petals. Maybe this would be more fun in a bigger yarn, but I kind of doubt it. I just don't like working into small spaces, and I know a lot of other crocheters that are like that as well. So brings me joy was 3 out of 5 stars. So the overall score for the whole pattern was 3.5 out of 5 stars. But the end result is pretty great. I mean, it's exactly what you're looking for. So we're going to set this guy aside over here. And then grab the next one. Let me turn my page here. The next one. Make sure that this is, yeah, okay. The next one is called Mary the Tiny Mushroom by Fancy Turnip. Fancy Dot Turnip. This is Mary the Tiny Mushroom. Now, like I said, I did this with Posh and Baby Bear, the size 5 weight yarns. And you can see that he turned out a little big. So he is actually not going to work as a keychain. Here he is next to my hand. He's just too large, but he is pretty darn cute. And he's just going to go on my, $20 table, I think. So for this one, my pattern notes, sorry, I keep looking down, but they're in my book here. So for this one, my pattern notes, the pattern was very easy to follow, had very clear instructions. It did turn out to be way too big for a keychain, but it is super cute. There is a bonus at the end of the pattern for this tiny little snail, which I thought was just adorable, and I just attached it to the top of the mushroom because it's the cutest thing in the world right now. And it was difficult to kind of get the stuffing ratio correct, because it's one of those where you're supposed to have some stuffing in the cap, but not like all the way down, because it's supposed to be able to like squish on him a little bit, I guess, but it's really hard to get that right. The stuffing just kind of wants to go where it wants to go, but I still love him. I love him exactly the way he is. Okay, so for pattern clarity, he got a 5 out of 5 stars. There's absolutely no confusing parts of this pattern at all. Speed was 4 out of 5 stars. Again, it took like right at that 30 to 35 minute mark, just because of its size, I think. Ease, 5 out of 5 stars. This is a very easy pattern. I had no troubles with this one. Does it bring me joy? 4 out of 5 stars. The only reason I had to knock off the stars because it's supposed to be a keychain and it's not. I can't make him a keychain, but he's so cute and I love him. So his overall score was 4.5 stars out of 5 stars. Mary the Tiny Mushroom by Fancy Dot Turnip. Send him back here next to my little Demogorgon flower. Okay. Our next one, I'm going to just look through these quickly, I think, is Bumblebee by Crochet with Bree on Instagram. So here, if I can get him to hold still, is the Bumblebee. I liked this one in particular because it wasn't the same little barrel bee that everybody has. It has a bit of shape to it. And you can see him next to my hand for his keychain size. He's great keychain size. So here's my notes on the little bumblebee. Very quick make. I think this one took me maybe 15 minutes. Very, very fast. It is a little finicky with the part of the pattern between the wings. You're supposed to color change into the white and then color change again into yellow and then color change again into white. There's only like a one stitch of yellow in between the wings. I wound up not color changing. I just left it white because it was just too small a space, too finicky to color change in that space. It is a small space to work in because it narrows down in this neck portion. It starts off fairly small and then it narrows down again in this neck portion and then narrows down again towards the tail. But it's not, you're not in that space forever. So I didn't mind so much. The shaping is adorable. I love the shaping on this guy. So those are my notes. So let's get to my ranking, the scoring system. Clarity of pattern, 5 out of 5. Could not be better. Perfectly clear. Speed of the pattern, 5 out of 5. Like I said, 15 minutes or less. This was a super quick little make. And it's very cute. Ease of the pattern, 4 out of 5. I had to drop it down 1 because of the tiny space and because of the finicky part between the wings. And did it bring me joy? Will I make it again? Did it work as a keychain? 5 out of 5 stars. I love this little bee. He's super cute. So overall, he got a 4.75, I guess, out of 5. Love this little bee. Super great. Okay. Next pattern. This is the Little Fairy by Ami Gurumaru. So you guys may recognize this. This is Navi from Link. She, of course, did not use the actual Nintendo name. But this is Little Fairy by Ami Gurumaru. Here it is next to my hand for size comparison. So looking great. Again, Posh and Baby Bear. I think Baby Bear was the white that I used on all of these, but I'm pretty sure that's the only Baby Bear I used on any of these guys. Okay, so this pattern, let's look at my notes. Very simple, easy to follow. There's sewing, which does add a little extra time. Each of these wings are sewn onto the ball, but that's not difficult sewing. That's pretty easy. It is a perfect keychain size, and it looks great on camera and in person. Like, it just looks great. It's a really, I've tried one of these small Navi patterns before, and the wings were so complicated. I mean, they came out of good shape at the end, but they were so complicated to make. And I feel like they're just simple, but they just work. Like, this works so much better. The pattern itself also has really great photos showing you where to place everything. So just really well done, well made pattern by Ami Gurumaru. So let's look at our ranking. So for clarity of pattern, this gets a full 5 out of 5. Great, perfect clarity. For speed, this one did take a little bit longer because of the sewing and extra pieces, so it got a 4 out of 5. It kind of hit the max range of time for keychain patterns. Ease, 5 out of 5. There was nothing difficult about this. This is a basic ball. These are all basic shapes and they're not very large. Sewing them on is a straightforward process. So Eve's got 5 out of 5. Joy in the pattern, 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5. I love this little guy. This is so cute. For my Link costume where I have one pinned to my shoulder, I might make another one of these to use instead because I like it so much. It's just great. So overall score for Little Fairy by Ami Gurumaru, 4.75 out of 5. This one's a great one. All right. We're speeding right along. I think we only have 2 left. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 3 left. We have 3 left. Okay. So this next one is actually one that I have had on my Instagram saved list for a really long time, for like a couple years. And I think I did try it once, but I was in the middle of a market and wasn't able to focus. And I don't know what I did wrong, but it came out looking really wonky. So I never tried it again. So I figured now's the time. This is The Tiny Turtle by Stitches by Patty. Isn't he cute? I think he's just great. Here he is next to my hand for size comparison. Perfect keychain size. And I have them on my little heart keychain. I debated where to put the keychain loop, but I just decided top of the shell would work fine. Okay, so this guy, this little cutesy, notes on this pattern. Perfect size, took 15 minutes, super quick, very easy to follow the pattern. She has great pictures in the pattern showing you every step along the way, even like marking specific stitches to show you where things need to be. Super cute finish. It's a no-sew pattern. Or do you sew the head on? No, I think you crochet. You might sew the head on. That might be, I don't remember. I'd have to look it up again. But like these little fins are worked or chained out and worked in the round. And I just love the way she did the little tips of the front fins. They're so cute. And then we have the little teeny tiny back fins and a little nub of a tail. I did think maybe I had added an extra round to the shell because the shell looks tall to me compared to her photos. But I think it might just be my yarn because I counted back and I didn't add anything extra. And the little head, I think you sew this on. I'm pretty sure you sew the head on. So it's a low sew, but again, very straightforward. It just goes right between the legs and it's like 4 stitches around. So it's super quick. So clarity of pattern for this one, 5 out of 5. Speed out of pattern for this one, 5 out of 5. Ease of pattern for this one, 5 out of 5. And my joy in this pattern, 5 out of 5. This is the winner of today's patterns, I have to say. This is just super cute. So overall, 5 out of 5 stars on Penny Turtle by Stitches by Patty. This is a great, great keychain. Okay. Next, second to last. This one I had some trouble with. This is the Jackalope keychain by Martzi Crochet. And if I didn't tell you it was a jackalope, would you know that that's what that is? I kind of don't think so. A jackalope was supposed to be a rabbit with deer horns, if you didn't know what a jackalope was. So this is supposed to be like a long-eared rabbit. I think it would be better maybe if the ears were made to stand up. Does that work better? Maybe, except then the horns are a little wonky. You have to push the horns to the front. Maybe that would make it a little recognizable, but it's still just not recognizable. Her pattern, she has it made in pink, so even less recognizable, I feel, than mine. That's why I went with the croissant color to try to make it more of a rabbit color, but I don't know that it worked. So anyway, here's my notes. For its size, this is a pretty time-consuming pattern. Each of these pieces on the antlers are made separately, sewn together, and then sewn onto the body. The ears are crocheted in, but they're made separately first and then crocheted in. So, and it's these little pieces, I think, were probably the bane of my existence for this pattern because they're like 3 stitches around or something crazy like that. They're super tiny and they stay tiny. They do not get any easier to work with. 4. Here's what I wrote: 4 stitches around. So these are all 4 stitches around. They're so tiny. I feel like the antlers could have been done differently, that you could have maybe done them the way like the leggy frog toes are done, just kind of chain up, and they wouldn't maybe have been quite as sturdy depending on the yarn you did. But if you made them shorter and made them like that, that might have worked. The head and ears themselves are very simple. I mean, it's just a ball with regular sort of rabbit ears, not too difficult. The instructions are really good and clear, and the pictures are really good. So it's not the fault of the pattern, really. I think it's just, I don't know, design choices that I have questions about, I guess. So for clarity of pattern, this gets a 5 out of 5. Pattern was great. It was very well written. It was clear. The pictures were good. Ease of pattern, this gets a 3 out of 5. I might even take it down to a 2. These horns were awful. I did not like doing them at all. Speed of pattern was a 2. This thing took me over an hour to make because of the horns. Like, because the ball and the ears, they don't take hardly any time at all. But these horns took me so long. They're so tiny and finicky, and it was so difficult to work into that space and then having to sew everything all together. Joy in this pattern, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. It's really cute, but you don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it is. I might not even put this one out. I might keep this for myself. Also, it's a little bit too big keychain wise. So here it is next to my hand. It kind of just barely borders on too big to be a keychain. I mean, it could be a bag charm, but it's meant to be a keychain. And she had it made in plush yarn too. So it wasn't my yarn choice necessarily either. Because she had it made, I think, in like Elise Fluto or something like that, some kind of plush yarn. So it wasn't that it was an acrylic pattern that I sized up. So that wasn't the issue. So overall, this is going to get a 3 out of 5 stars. I wanted it to be better because I love jackalopes, I love cryptids, that kind of thing. I just think it's really fun. So I had higher hopes for this one than it lived up to. Now let's move along to the final pattern on the list. And this one is very nearly my favorite. It came really close, very nearly my favorite. This is Baby Kirby on a Star. Again, the quit spinning. By Jenny Plushies on Instagram. So he's super cute. And he's got his little feet sticking out behind him and his little star pillow that he's flying around space on. So my notes on this guy, here he is next to my hand for keychain reference. So perfect size. All right, clear instructions and good pictures on this one. Very well written. It was really easy to work up. Very easy to follow the instructions. You know, Kirby is a ball shape. He has bobbles for hands and feet. The star itself was also very simple to follow, and I love the rounded shape of it. I might even sometimes make this star by itself for like accessories for things. Very, very cute. Both of them can be made in under 30 minutes. So that is a feat for having two pieces like this. But they're both very simple. So he definitely fit in the time-wise speed category. The only issue I have is for these eyes. If you're to do felt, like she said in the pattern, that's a little time consuming to fussy cut all these little felt pieces and glue them on, especially as small as they would have to be. I wound up embroidering my eyes, and I think they're okay. They could be better. Embroidering is not my favorite thing to do. So I feel like a time saver, a big time saver for this guy would be either to use those little pre-painted like kawaii eyes that you can get from Amazon. They're like ovals with like little white dots already painted on, or like I have a 3D printer, I could 3D print some little eyes to go on these guys. So if I were to batch make a bunch of them, I would probably have a tray of the eyes 3D printed up and just glue them on like you would glue felt. But other than that, other than the eyes, I mean, he's perfect. He's so cute. I love this pattern. I'm really, really pleased with this one. So let's go over to our ranking for our final pattern. Clarity of pattern, 5 out of 5. Couldn't have been better. Speed of pattern, 4 out of 5. He hit right on that 30-minute mark with the extra time with the embroidery. It would be faster if I had the amigurumi, the kawaii safety eyes, I believe. So then he would get a 5 out of 5. If I'd changed the eyes, he would have a 5 out of 5. Ease of pattern, 5 out of 5. Joy in this pattern, 5 out of 5. So he very nearly, if it weren't both eyes, would have taken the top spot. In fact, I'm going to just go ahead and pretend like I had the kawaii eyes and I could stick them in, because that would have fixed the speed. So put him at a 5 out of 5. So again, this guy, 5 out of 5. This guy, 5 out of 5. These are the top two. Winners of the patterns. Keychain Wars. These guys came out on top in first place. In second place, out of all of the patterns, let's see. Let's see which ones would have come in second place. Little Fairy comes in second. In third place comes in Mary the Tiny Mushroom, but really more as an honorable mention since he can't be a keychain. So real third place then, Bumblebee and Demogorgon. These guys tied for fourth. And then coming in fifth place, last place, unfortunately, is the Jackalope, with an honorable mention for Mary the Tiny Mushroom. So that is my keychain list. That is my roundup for keychains. Now, all of these patterns, like I said, can be found on Instagram for free. And I will have links to them in the description box on this video so you guys can check them out. I encourage you, go find these designers. Even if you don't want to try these particular patterns, go just check out their page because a lot of them have many free patterns that you can check out. And you might find something that you really, really enjoy. And that's the purpose of all of these Instagram roundups. Okay, so let's see if I can get all of these guys in one shot together. These keychains are really small. They don't want to fit on my fingers. All right, we got these guys, this guy, little guy, this little guy. I'm just gonna have a big pile of keychains at this point. Oh no, now I'm dropping them. And honorable mention. So here we go. 6 keychains and an honorable mention. Free Instagram patterns. And I hope you guys enjoyed these. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be doing more roundups like this in the future. I will also be doing lots of con prep. So some of these roundups will probably have to do with things that I'm making specifically for the cons. So we can just, do 2 things at once. Work smarter, not harder, right? That's how the saying goes? Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed this roundup today and that you will stick around and catch me in another video. At the end of the video, you shall see YouTube will suggest something from the playlist that this one's in and something else from my channel just to kind of give you an idea of what I like to do here. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.